Okay, we are ready to start. Thank you all for coming. Our today's task is to promote the second edition of Yanis' almost bestseller book called The Global Minotaur. Unfortunately, we don't have enough books here to distribute or to sell, but if you will be satisfied with our talk, you can, of course, buy it in different ways, or even you can find maybe some illegal copies, something like that. So
I can send you an illegal copy to you.
Yeah, also, but I think there's only the illegal copy of the first edition on the web, and I'm not sure for the second. I think that most of you were also yesterday on the Yanis lecture, and that you're almost familiar. Do you know who he is? He's, of course, just to repeat it briefly, Yanis is a Greek economist, and that was important that he was a Greek economist during the crisis, not just an economist. And now he's teaching at the University of Texas in Austin. So we will start with the book. So in the book, Yanis somehow presented this historical, geopolitical, economical narrative of the development of the post-war 20th century global capitalism. So let's start there. As you said yesterday, the Second World War was a solution to the Great Depression, to the crisis of the 30s. So we are in a situation, 1945, the end of the war. The U.S. is the only surplus nation, and then what happens in the sense of development of the world capitalism with the leading position of the United States, and also the devastation of Europe, and also other parts of the world, the power of the Soviet Union. So what happened in 1945 concerning Bretton Woods and the later development in terms of what you call what was the global plan for the global economy in the 1945 after the war?
Well, let me before I answer your question, let me say what the purpose of the book was. It was not to write a historical treatise. It was to answer a very simple question. A question that tortures most of us. Why is our world in the crisis that it finds itself in? Why did the crash of 2008 happen? And why is recovery nowhere to be seen at a global level? And instead what we have is a constant spreading of the crisis while it is evolving and transforming and mutating. That was the purpose of the book.
Okay, now I'd like to open the floor for the questions. Just, when we were talking to Srećko a year ago about inviting you here, we're planning to do it in combination with another Greek economist, Kostas Lapavitsis, to stage this ultimate debate on the Greek solution, but Kostas couldn't come. But I know there are here a few people who would like to play the role of Kostas, so please, there are two questions. Tony and another one. There is the mic.
So so imminent critique, let's start with what you said. Gold standard in Eurozone is repetition of the tiers in 20s and 30s gold standard in US, and the only way to make it happen, to make us overcome those tiers, is shock absorbers, so what you call the surplus recycling. Now, can you tell us once more what you said yesterday? What is the plausibility of criteria upon which you base your economic analysis and political decision to stick with euro for Greece? Not just for Greece, but for other countries, because I think that your criteria rests on the hope that we will have shock absorbers created within the Eurozone, that is more plausible in some medium term, let's say, not short term, rather than exiting, going for our own currency, and then perhaps this is the scenario you told us yesterday, that other southern countries would exit Eurozone, which I think if we take those southern countries, perhaps might be talking to each other to create a different currency, or at least a clearing bank like we had in 1950 created in what we know as Eurozone now. Would that not scenario at least have certain plausibility that is better in midterm than expecting shock absorbers to be created in the Eurozone?
My answer will come in 3 points, in three parts. Firstly, forget Greece for just 1 second. If the Eurozone collapses, we are all going to be embroiled in a postmodern 1930s. If the Eurozone crashes and burns, I mean, I personally campaigned against the Euro in the 1990s, but we created it. So there are irreversibilities. If we give up the Euro, we are not going to back to where we would have been if we didn't have it. So it's one thing to say we shouldn't have it, it's quite another to say we should get out of it, right? And if the Euro, the way that it was constructed, and the way that financialization proceeded during the golden age, those 8 years, pretty good years of the Euro, and then crashed and burned and all that after that, with that history behind us, if now the Euro goes, we're going to have a massive depression in Germany and stagflation in the rest of Europe. The global economy will not be able to take that shock. China is going to go into reverse. Brazil is going to see all the improvements in poverty rates and so on go to smithereens. And therefore, the global economy is going to be detrimentally affected if the Eurozone goes. That's from an internationalist perspective. Now, let me speak from a Greek perspective. What we have done, what the Greek state has done, what the successive 3 different governments have done since the debt crisis, the debt exploded in early 2010, was a crime against humanity. So I don't defend the fact that we stayed in the Euro following the prescriptions that were coming to us by Brussels and Frankfurt and so on. My proposal was that Greece should simply announce that it is defaulting, just like Argentina did, within the Euro in January 2010, and stick the finger to Germany and say, well, you can now solve this problem by yourself.